He had mentioned, along with the rest of the delegation from Vermont, that they're actually looking at moving the waiver that allows states to pursue their own health systems from 2017 to 2014 to allow Vermont to pursue a sort of a single-payer style approach. Would you support moving that waiver forward?
Absolutely. I think that all of the leadership now in Vermont, here in the House, the Senate, the governor had a press conference together in order to do that. Let Vermont show us the way and do a single-payer system. The former governor was on television last night, Howard Dean, talking about that as well. I think we should be able to experiment. We should give states the option. Republicans ought to be for that. States' rights, let them experiment with their own plan and do a single-payer.
Well, thank you very much, Congressman. Very nice. You mentioned briefly that you were a single-payer advocate. States like Vermont or maybe California may move ahead and go ahead and implement state-based programs like that, but they need a waiver from the federal health care reform. The current waiver kicks in 2017. Some members of Congress are trying to push that waiver forward so that they can implement those systems in 2014. Would you support that sort of push?
Of course. I mean, I basically tried to do that in the state of Washington in 1985. Okay? But the problem at that point was you couldn't get everybody in the state into it because of ERISA. And I could not get an ERISA waiver for the state of Washington. Otherwise, I would have had something going in the state. And people after me tried for the next 5 years, but they could never get an ERISA waiver because the big companies that use ERISA as their protection were unwilling to allow the state of Washington to develop their own plan. I mean, I watched what happened in Canada in '67 when Tommy Douglas put together the program in Saskatchewan. And my view is that state-by-state implementation is probably the best way to go. That's why my bill, H.R. 1200, is a statewide implementation. Every state gets their money. New York gets their money. California gets their money. North Carolina gets their money. And then they deliver the same benefits in the way that they do it in New York, the way they do it in California, the way we do it. And there are real differences across the country.